All right, hello everyone. I am creating this video to help you with your APA formatting that you will use in this course as well as other courses throughout the counseling program. So just to let everyone know, APA has come out with a 7th edition. This came out in October of 2019, so it's fairly new in regards to the creation of this video, and there's also some differences in there that we'll talk a little bit about. But you don't have to get the manual if you don't want to, but it also might be helpful. You can Google APA formatting and you can basically get the information from this. It's just not as organized, and different sites might have different aspects of the formatting. But yeah, I have included in the syllabus for this course a link to a site that does give you some guidance on APA formatting. So I'm going to show you that briefly. So let me share. I'm going to share my screen here of the syllabus. So here we have the syllabus, and whatever assignments I ask you to do, the assignments that I ask you to do APA formatting, I have the link of that website that gives you some guidelines on APA formatting at the bottom of the assignment description. So here you have it here, and you have it here as well. So I ask you to reference that when you do these assignments so that you make sure that you're doing your APA formatting properly. And that's also why I've created this video and the assignment to go along with it, so that you better understand it. So I'm going to stop sharing there, and I will now share that website to introduce you to it. So where's that website? So here's the website, and here on the left there's multiple aspects of APA formatting that you can take a look at, such as in-text citations, footnotes, endnotes. Probably won't need footnotes or endnotes, but basically you'll probably want to reference the in-text citations and then the reference list. Also, a very helpful piece of this website is an example paper, and that's over here. There are student papers and professional papers. You are all students, so I'm asking you to do the student paper format. So I'll click down here on this icon to make the student paper, enlarge the student paper, and here you can go through this and look at the comments for each aspect of the paper, such as the heading, the title page, different reference or different in-text citations. It gives you some ideas, and then also as you scroll through, it gives you some ideas on, it helps you know how to do figures, reference those, include those, and tables. Probably won't have to include tables or figures in this class. And then also references. So a couple notes here for you to note for this class, at least. This is the format that I want you to do your papers. I don't want any abstracts. Don't include any abstract. Don't include an abstract. That's something that is sometimes included in papers, but we don't need them here. And usually an abstract is basically a summary of what you're going to write, and it has its own page, but we don't have that for a student paper. Also note that what's new to the 7th edition is that there is no running head on the title page. You don't, and there is no header for any of the pages except for the page number. So you have the page number on the top right, and then no header. So, and then also I wanted you to note as well that references is bolded, and it's references, plural, and then you include your references in alphabetical order. Make sure it's double spaced, your papers are double spaced, and make sure the references are double spaced as well with this indent here. So now I want to go into, so again, that's that website that's linked in the syllabus that you can reference when you're working on an assignment that requires strict APA format or even any aspect of APA formatting. So go to this website. Also, you can Google other websites and just Google, like for instance here, APA formatting. And again, this is the one that pops up the most for me because I go to it a lot. But citing a book in APA, this machine doesn't always work properly, but you're supposed to be able to put in a title and it will give you the reference. That doesn't always work properly. So you want to take a look at your references yourself and reference your reference and APA formatting rather than using some machine, because it doesn't always work well. But like I said, here's some other websites that give you some information. Looks like this might have, or even some videos on YouTube that will help you understand APA formatting as well. So I'm giving you some guidance, and I'm also encouraging you to look further into APA formatting to make sure that you're doing it properly. And again, according to 7th edition. So it's a newer edition, so make sure you're not looking at something that says it's the 6th edition. So now I want to go into actually the library. So we have this screen pulled up still. So you go to your Mustang Express, click on the library tab up here, and then you'll want to do your search here. And we'll search counseling. Now I will also help you understand how to find peer-reviewed journals. So everything that the library has access to pops up when you do a search. So what you want to do is tweak my results over here on the left. And we're looking at peer-reviewed journals. So you want to click that icon, because then it will limit everything that it shows to the 366,000 articles that they have. So then you go to down here on the green, apply filters, and now every article that is a peer-reviewed article that the library has access to that is connected to the keyword counseling is now provided for you. So now you should be able to, and as here too, it gives you this purple icon that says peer review, peer reviewed. That means it's a peer-reviewed article as well. So I want to go down here and now do an example with you of some of the multiple things that you will include in papers for this class and other classes as they relate to APA formatting. So I want to open up this article on teaching counseling, getting beyond informational counseling. So we'll click here on the full text available. Then we'll click on the PDF full text. And here we have the article. So now we've researched, we've taken a look at this article, we've read it, and now we want to include some of its elements into our paper. So I want to pull up now a document I created related to this. Oops, stop sharing. One moment. Okay. So for your reference, this is how you reference. You include the last name and then a comma and then their first and middle initial, whatever they include in the article. So as you could see here, it's David Luderman. So that's what we have included on the paper is Luderman, comma, D, period. And then you put the year in parentheses, period. And then the title of the article is included in sentence casing. And what sentence casing means is you write it as if it were a sentence when it comes to capitalization of letters. So on is capitalized because it's the first, teaching is not, counseling is not. There's a colon, and so you capitalize after the colon though. So getting is capitalized, but beyond, informational, counseling is not. So that's the title. As you could see, that's the title of the article, on teaching counseling. So when it's on the, when you see it in the article, it's in title casing. So on teaching counseling, all the words are capitalized, but not when you're doing it, in the reference. So go back to the reference. Then you have a period after the title, and then the name of the journal in italics. So, and the name of the journal is in title casing. So American Journal of Speech Language Pathology, everything but the article of is capitalized. And oftentimes, go back to the article. Hopefully you're not getting dizzy from this, but oftentimes you can find the article, the journal, the title of the journal down here at the bottom of the pages, as well as the volume number and the page numbers of the article as well. And then the year, you can find that too. But also, if you go back to the search, if you click on the title, it will give you some of that information as well. So here's the journal. Here's the journal title, and here it's different too. It doesn't do it in title casing for whatever reason. But in APA formatting, when you're doing the reference, the title of the journal is title casing. So capitalize all those first letters of those words. And here you have the issue number as well. As you could see, you might have to look at different, you might have to look here to find the issue number, because we could not, the issue number was not readily available here. It wasn't in this bottom footnote. You couldn't find it. So you might have to look somewhere else to find it, if it is there. So that's, and then this is, so also to note, like I said, this is in italics. This comma after the journal title is not in italics though. So don't have that be in italics. It's normal font. This number here, which is the journal, I'm spacing the word right now, but this one is italics. The issue number and the parentheses around the issue number and the comma after the issue number are not italics, but the journal, I'm spacing that word bad right now, but this, the journal number, that's not the right word either, but the journal number is italics. And then you have the page numbers here. This is supposed to be an N dash. That means that's EN dash, an N dash, so not your typical just dash on your keyboard. And how you do this dash is you do a space, dash dash, dash dash, space, and then start typing, and then space again. And as you can see, it changed it to an N dash. And then what you just go back in, and you go back in and delete those spaces. And then you have the page number, and then you have the DOI number as well. And the DOI number is included. This will always be the same, this part. Every DOI number URL will be this, and then each journal or each article has its own number attached to it. And so you can find that number, you can find this URL, excuse me, in the article as well. So we'll go back to it. As you can see, it's down here on this page, the DOI number. So volume, that was the word. That was the word I was spacing on. The volume number is italicized. So, and also you might be able to find the URL or the DOI number if you just click here. if you click around, you might be able to find it. Oftentimes, if I'm looking for something, I would do Control Find DOI. Oh, and there we go, pops up right there. So again, you want to be sure that you include, so that's the DOI number, but you'll want to be sure to include the https://doi.org/ and then include that. Okay, so let me go back to the paper examples here. So also, again, making sure you have that indent as well. So what you'll want to do, the first part of the reference is not indented, but all aspects of that reference after, all lines after that in first line of the reference is indented. So what you need to do is you need to go up to this arrow. Well, first you need to select that second line of the reference, click your cursor there, click on this arrow and drag it over to this line right here. And this line is a little bit longer than the other one, so you know it's that one. And then that's how your references should look. And when you're dragging this arrow over, you have to make sure you're clicking on the arrow part and not the box underneath it. If you click on this box, it drags everything over, and we don't want that. So just click on the arrow and drag it over. So that's how you do your references. Now I want to take a look at paraphrasing, quoting, block quotes, and then other in-text citations. So, well, actually, maybe what we'll go into is the in-text citations. So the in-text citation for this article is Luderman 2020. And that's how you would include it when you're doing your quotations or you're paraphrasing. You would do it that way. That's if it's a single author. If there's two authors, you always include the same. You always include those two authors. So if I was also an author on this paper, it would be Luderman and Lane, and you include that in every reference or every in-text citation. Then, if there's three or more, you always do the first author and then et al. Period, comma, the year. You never include all of them. There is, you might include them, but we're not going to go into that because I don't think you'll come across the case where you'll need to include them. You only need to include them if there's two articles written by almost all of the same people, but if you aren't, then you might include the authors up until where it changes. But I don't think that will happen because it has to be the same authors on a different paper in the same year. So just be mindful. And in the 6th edition of APA formatting, their publication manual, you used to have to include all of the authors on the first time you cite it, and then you didn't the next time. But here the new rules are you don't even have to cite all of them the first time. It's just, so if there's 3 or more authors on this paper, you just include the first author's name, space et space al period comma and then the year. So let's go into paraphrasing now. Paraphrasing, you're making sure that you're virtually switching every word, and it's best if you're paraphrasing multiple sentences or an idea rather than trying to switch up a sentence and put that exact sentence all in different words. So, but it is definitely important to make sure they're different words and not just a copy and paste. So this is a paraphrase coming from this article. Luderman argued, and you also want to make sure that it's past tense. Whenever we're citing a reference, it's already been published, it's already been stated, argued, whatever, so it's past tense. So make sure it's in past tense. Argued that there is evidence that speech-language pathologists are deficient in counseling skills. So that you don't have to include the page number in that, but I did so that we can go back and reference it, so I can show you what that looked like in the paper. So this was on page, like I said, 904. The consequences of the lack of counseling education can be seen in studies indicating poor counseling skills of clinicians, especially in the realm of personal adjustment counseling. So I paraphrased that sentence. The only thing that is the same is counseling skills. And maybe there's a different way to say counseling skills, but that's what this person is exactly talking about. So maybe if you keep one, the subject of that information, if you keep that word, that's not a huge deal. But if all the other words are the same, or if you just change one little word out of the sentence, that's not a paraphrase. The majority of it, if not all of it, should be your own words, but you stating it differently. So, and as you can see here, this says clinician, so it's important that you understand more than just that sentence as well. I understand that really this paper isn't, although I typed in counseling, this isn't about counselors, this is about speech language pathologists. So when it talks about clinicians, it's talking about speech language pathologists and that field, not the counseling field. So that would be an example of a paraphrase. Then there's examples of a quote. So I'll go back into the examples. So here's an example of a quote. Counseling is the component. So this article gives you a definition of what it means when they say counseling. Counseling is the component of the clinician-client relationship that promote self-enhancement behavior in the client through the judicious provision of information while also allowing for the expression of painful feelings in an emotionally safe context. So when it is a direct quote, make sure you include the quotation marks at the beginning and at the end, and then the period or the punctuation goes after the in-text citation. And you want to make sure that when it is a quote that you also include the page number that quote is on. And it is done in this format, P period, and then the page number. If there's multiple, if you find it on the end of page 903 and it goes on to page 904, then you would do it like that. So, and it's also important that you take note that if you are including a quote that is longer than 40 words, that you do a block quote. And I'm going to show you here with this paragraph here. So this is all a quote as well. I don't use quotation marks though, because if I highlight everything that was in it, we see that it is 57 words. So it is 40 and over. So 40 words that are 40 and over, what you need to do is kind of like with the reference, what you can do too is you highlight what you want to switch over, and then you click on the arrow and slide it over, except it's not doing the top one either. So sometimes what you can do is you can put your cursor on the first, tab over, and then on the second and tab over, and then it gets you to that half, as you can see up there. And then also what's different about here is again, there's no quotation marks, and the punctuation goes at the end of the quote, not after the citation. And also remembering that you're including the page number with a block quote as well. So making sure that you're doing that. So that's paraphrasing, quoting, and doing block quotes as well. Let me see here. All right, I think I want to go into, let's make sure, go back to the examples. And there's different ways to cite as well. You can cite at the beginning or you can cite at the end. If you cite at the beginning, as you could see here, you include the name of the author and then the title or the year right after in parentheses. It's important to note too, in when there's two authors and you're citing the two authors at the end, you use this and sign within the citation. If this was the two authors and I'm not including their names in the citation, but they're a part of the sentence, then you don't use this and sign. You would use the word and then you'd include Lane. If it's three or more, you would just write out ETL as before. But remembering too, the Luderman ETL means you're using means you would use the pronoun they, because there's multiple people. So I wouldn't say he. If I was to include this sentence and go further, I would say they. Again, with the year in the parentheses there. At the end of the sentence, again, these were all, if this is how you would do it, if it's at the end of the sentence. Remembering that direct quotes that are less than 40 words, the period's at the end of the citation. Block quotes that are 40 words or more, the period is at the end of the quotation and not at the end of the citation. Also making sure that you're adding the page number when it is a direct quote, and making sure that your paraphrases are your own words. I'll take a moment here just to make sure covered everything. All right, so that's all for this video. Make sure that you understand these concepts that I have in the video. You can review the video, or go, if you have the manual, go into the manual and look it up, or Google it, or go to that website that I have. So make sure you're referencing these when you're doing the assignment connected to this video, as well as your other assignments that require you to do APA formatting. So thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. If you have questions about any of this or need clarification, please reach out to me, and I would be more than willing to help you understand APA formatting better. So thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later.